Our belief system defines our present and future circumstances. How to start identifying and reprogramming those beliefs that are defining our life. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Engineer Community. Here, Tommy Walker, sharing insight and tools to help you guys start making changes in your life. So, I want to go back to this very important concept that I keep talking about, that is, our belief system is going to define our life. And I'm going to give you examples for you to understand this, right? Because sometimes it makes it difficult to really grasp how important it is what we think about different things. And what I tell people, and this is important to remind guys, to remind yourselves, is that it's not what you think you think. And what does that mean? You might think that you are good enough. You might think that you deserve. You might think that you deserve being successful, that you deserve abundance, that you deserve love, that you deserve all these things in your life. And I tell people, I'm sorry, but it's not so much what you say you think, it's what you don't know you think that normally is what you think. So what does that mean? Is that we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind runs between 5 to 10% of your life, and the subconscious mind runs between 90 to 95% of your life. So many times when you're saying consciously all these things like, oh, I deserve money, I deserve abundance, I'm good enough, I'm going to make it, I'm going to have a successful career, I'm going to have a successful business, I'm going to have a successful relationship, whatever, I'm going to stop screaming at my kids, I'm going to stop doing that, I'm going to start doing this different. And you end up doing something that you were trying to change, that is proving you that it's not what you think that is holding you back. It's what you don't know you think. And in this episode, I want to share some more insight and tools to start being able to really go deeper into understanding this. So, what do people see normally as the byproduct, the symptom? So, if I don't feel good enough, a symptom could be procrastination. If I don't feel good enough, a symptom could be people pleasing. If I don't feel good enough, a symptom could be perfectionism. So when you start understanding those type of things as the byproduct of something deeper, now you can start owning that there might be something in your mind. Because look at this for a second. Think about this. If I don't feel good enough, or I think that I'm not good enough, and I have the opportunity to submit my resume to start a business, what do you think normally I'm going to do? This is what most people call self-sabotage. I'm not going to send my resume. I'm going to screw up in the meeting. I'm going to get there late, or I'm never going to start my business, because deep down there might be a belief that I'm thinking that I'm not good enough. So as the mind doesn't want to confirm that belief, what it's going to do, it's going to self-sabotage to avoid trying and not being able to do it. So what does that mean? Imagine that I want to start a business and I have to start a website. I gotta go into social media, whatever it is that you want to do, right? Imagine the easiest way nowadays is going to social media and start sharing, videos about what you do, how you help people, or the product you gotta sell, whatever, right? So when people are not doing it, normally they don't understand why they're not doing it, and normally they call themselves lazy. They say that they have the imposter syndrome, whatever, and they don't go do it. But the truth is, although imposter syndrome and procrastination is real, don't get me wrong, what's going on? There's something much deeper. So look at this, that I've said it many times, but I want to repeat it over and over again to help you guys understand how the mind works. We have behaviors that are the byproduct of emotions, and emotions are the byproduct of beliefs. So beliefs trigger emotions, emotions trigger behaviors. So now you have a negative behavior, quote unquote, negative behavior, quote unquote. I'm going to explain that in a second. So there's something that you're procrastinating on, or something you're postponing. You're falling into self sabotage, right? So that is, for most people, the problem. I tell them that that is the solution to a deeper problem. The problem is not the procrastination, the self sabotage. It's what are the negative emotions associated with what you are procrastinating or what you're trying to do on your self sabotaging. So again, imagine you want to start your business. You want to, find a partner. You want to find a better job. You want to do something that you're not doing, that you're postponing. You even need to do your taxes and you're not doing it, right? So what's going on? So what am I feeling around doing the taxes? How am I feeling about thinking of getting out there and try to find another job? How am I feeling about getting out there, going to bars, going to places, to discotheques to find, maybe a partner, or going on to, Tinder or whatever app out there? How do I feel around that? And I work with a lot of people that tell me, oh no, tell me, you know what, when I start thinking about finding another job, I even feel, motivated. Okay, so what are you doing about it? I'm not doing anything. So suddenly you start feeling motivated and then it goes away and don't do anything about it. There's something much deeper. Underneath the motivation, there is a emotion that you're experiencing that you might not being able to connect with. Hey, Romana, how are you again? So the idea is to start validating your negative emotions. How am I feeling? This is the first and most powerful question I ask the people that I work with, all the coaches that I work with. I ask them, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about, getting out there and try to find another job? How are you feeling about talking to your boss to get a raise? How are you feeling towards your partner to ask something from your partner that you feel, weird, shame or something about it? How are you feeling around doing lives for your business? How are you feeling? And try to go past the, oh, I feel so excited. Oh, I feel motivated. Because the truth is, if you're not doing it, people are confusing feeling excited with anxiety. And anxiety, behind the anxiety, there's fear. So somebody might be feeling fear, and that's why they're not being able to take actions towards changing their life, their personal life, professional life, whatever that is. So we need to start tapping into the negative emotions. The behaviors are the byproduct of the mind try to protect you from the negative emotions. And as so many people out there have been teaching for so many years, and I truly believe they're so way off, they're so wrong in what they're teaching, is that, feeling fear is something wrong. No, it is not. Feeling negative emotions, there's nothing wrong with that. We have emotions, period. They're not good or bad. We can call them, if you want, positive or negative, but they're not bad. They're not negative as bad. They're just, another emotions. We need to start inviting emotions because they're still running in the back of our head. And those are the emotions that then the mind is trying to avoid by creating behaviors. So the procrastination, the self-sabotage, the perfectionism, the not setting boundaries, whatever that is, the laziness, the lack of motivation, the lack of a why, those are the byproduct of an inner disconnect from your emotions. So it is to start learning how to navigate your emotions. So how do I feel? Okay, I feel scared. So the first thing, and you've seen me do this before, but I want to reiterate this more and more, is to put your right hand on your left shoulder, your left hand on your right shoulder, and to hug yourself and to accept those emotions, that you have valid reasons to be feeling those emotions. Stop repressing them, stop denying them, embrace them. So, okay, a part of me, listen to this, this is key in the reprogramming and diving into the mind and the reprogramming. A part of me, because what you want to do is create separation from the part of you that is choosing to procrastinate, that is feeling anger, that is feeling shame, that is feeling, fear. We create a separation. We become observers. A lot of people talk about this. Edgar Tolle and so many other people out there talk about being an observer of what's going on. So when I say a part of me, I'm orienting the mind to realize that it's not all of me. There is a part of me. So as there's a part of me, I can become the observer. Okay, a part of me is scared of doing these lives. Okay, why is this part of me scared of doing this life? Now we go into the second question. Why am I feeling scared? Scared of what? And to go a little bit faster, right? Because we don't have all day, but normally is, I'm scared of what people are going to think. I'm scared of what people are going to say about me. A lot of people first deny their fear, and I work with a lot of people that tell me, oh, but Tommy, I don't care what people say. Okay, you're not doing lives, you're not doing videos for your business, you're not asking for a raise, but you're telling me that you don't care what people say. Could that be coming from the conscious mind, and could there be something deeper that you might not be aware of? And when they open up, when they truly open up, all of the people that I work with, when they open up, they all go, oh, yeah, maybe Tommy, there is something deeper. And when they finally start going deeper, exploring their subconscious mind, they tell me, Tommy, I wasn't even aware that I do care what people have to say. I'm very worried what people want, think about me or say about me. But they were not aware of it. Consciously, they were convincing that they shouldn't care what people think or say about them, but subconsciously they did. Those, you know, this is important to understand. Your actions are going to be aligned with your subconscious mind, not with what you think you think. Again, your actions speak about your subconscious mind, not so much about your conscious mind. So it means that if you're saying that you're going to do something and you're not doing it, when you say that you're going to do it, that comes from the conscious mind. When you don't do it, it's speaking about something that is happening in your subconscious mind. So first, how do I feel? Connect with the negative emotions. And at the beginning, people find it very hard to connect with their negative emotions because their parents have taught them that it's wrong to feel negative emotions. And then that has been reinforced in school, and even big names out there, Tony Robbins and many other people out there, teach us not to feel those negative emotions, that we need to feel positive. Dr. Dispenza, Abraham Hicks, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, they all teach to move away from those negative emotions. We got to be very careful because emotions are emotions, and we need to invite all of the emotions to the party. I don't leave emotions out, because when I start leaving emotions out, for the mind, it's very difficult to filter joy, excitement from anxiety. So when I disconnect from my emotions, I normally disconnect from all of them. And then I need to, in a way, fake it, but that's not true. So I need to invite every emotion to the party. What am I feeling? Write it down. Why am I feeling this way? Try to find, as I said, oh, I just realized that I'm worried what people are going to say about me. So there you go. You find it part of the narrative. Now, using that narrative, you can say this. Look at this. The person just said, Tommy, I'm worried. Sorry, I got hiccups. 1 second. People might say, Tommy, I'm worried what people are going to say. Okay, what are you worried about people saying? Oh, I'm worried that people are going to judge me or criticize me. Perfect. How would that make you feel about yourself if people start judging and criticizing you? Or your boss says that you're not going to get a raise. Or, you go out with a person and the person says that they're not interested again. They don't call you back. They don't text you back. They don't respond, whatever. They ghost you. How would that make you feel about yourself? Normally, people would say, it's going to make me feel not good enough. It's going to make me feel not lovable. It's going to make me feel like a failure. It's going to make me feel inadequate. Okay, those are the beliefs that are ingrained in your subconscious mind that you're trying to cover up with convincing yourself that you feel good, that you feel that you deserve a raise, that you deserve to have a business, that you deserve to make money, you deserve love, you deserve abundance, whatever. But actually, deep down, those are the beliefs that are predicting your current circumstances and predicting your future. So when the mind thinks, look at this, when the mind thinks, okay, Tommy believes that he's not good enough, but he's thinking of starting a business. The mind says, you know what? I'm going to protect Tommy. And listen to this, guys, because this is how the mind works. The mind says, I'm going to protect Tommy from confirming that he's a failure. So I'm not going to allow him to do what he needs to do to get his business going, because if it doesn't work, he's going to confirm that he's a failure. So suddenly, boom, you see laziness, you see procrastination, you see self-sabotage. The other day I was talking to a woman that she was not being able to get her business off the ground. And she again told me that she thought she deserved it, that she wanted to be independent, that she wanted to have her money from her business, that she thought that, she was worthy of having a business. She said all these beautiful things. When we started exploring the subconscious mind, she ended up accepting that when she was realizing and then accepting, validating that when she was a little girl, her parents would talk really badly about people that try to start a business. So deep down, she thought that if she started a business and did well and made money, she was going to be a bad person. That's what her parents had, not on purpose, made her think about starting a business. So she didn't want to be a bad person in front of her parents' eyes. So what did she do? She self-sabotaged to not have a business, of course, to not be a bad person, according to her parents. So as you start identifying that, now you're like becoming responsible and empowered to be able to start reprogramming that. So first I need to identify what's going on. The next step, and I'm going to share that in a second, is the reprogramming. But if I don't validate what's going on within me, if I don't recognize and accept what is going on and understand why is this happening, it's going to make it nearly impossible for you to make changes. If I want to fix my car, but I don't know about mechanics, there's no way that I'm going to be able to fix anything. Doesn't matter, if I'm great at maths or if I'm great at whatever else. If I don't know about fixing cars, I'm not going to be able to fix anything. If I don't know how the mind works and how to identify the programs that I have about myself, limiting, negative, and false beliefs that I have, the mind is going to try to protect me. No matter what you do, the mind is going to try to protect you. So that is the first step, validating and accepting that a part of you, again, a part of you feels not good enough, inadequate, or even thinks that it's inadequate, not good enough, or a failure. The fourth question, so let's review a second. How do I feel? Why do I feel this? How does this make me feel about myself? And the fourth question is, where could I have learned / experienced this? Where could I have learned / experienced this? So now the idea is to start looking into the file, into your subconscious mind, into your memories, to see what could have happened that made you feel not good enough or made you think that you were inadequate growing up. Try to go back to when you were between 0 and 8 years old and start seeing different scenarios. So a lot of people tell me, but Tommy, I don't remember anything about my past. That's fine. This is very normal to a lot of people. So the question, the thing that not the question, what I tell the coaches when I'm working with them is I tell them to imagine themselves, they adults, walking in that home in childhood. So what they do, hey, Suzanne, how are you? So what they do is they kind of start imagining themselves in their own home, not even remembering, imagining. So how could have dad treated me that made me feel not good enough or inadequate? How did my mom treat me? And I start thinking what events could have happened in my past. So I work with people. Once I was working with a man and he said, oh, I'm seeing an image. I just remembered that my dad used to hit me whenever I did something wrong. So I asked that person, listen to this, guys. If your dad hit you as a little boy when you did something wrong, looking at life from that little boy, wouldn't that little boy be afraid of doing things? And that person said, yes, Tommy, of course. That kid is going to be, scared of doing things. Okay, so if he's scared of doing things, what is the best way to protect himself from being attacked again? What is the best way that little kid can protect himself from being beaten up again? And after a while, the person said, oh, Tommy, by procrastinating, by not doing, that little kid is protecting himself from being beaten up again. So now you are seeing why you're procrastinating. But look at this, guys, and this is the most important part of this process. Listen to this, very, very attentive. Listen to this, please. This guy had experience as a little boy that when he made a mistake, he was beaten up. So to protect himself from being beaten up, he created the behavior of procrastination. So far, this is what we just found. But look at this. Now, he as an adult, what did he do to himself to try to overcome procrastination? What do we normally do when we don't behave according as we should? We beat ourselves up. So he was beating himself up because he was procrastinating, but the procrastination was to avoid the beating up. So he was beating up procrastination to try to get rid of it. So what was he doing? What was he doing? Creating more procrastination. Listen to that again. As he was beating himself up, creating pain, he was holding on stronger to procrastination because procrastination was created to protect himself from making mistakes. So now he's telling himself that he's making a mistake by doing procrastination. It creates a ton of confusion to the mind because the mind had created procrastination to protect itself from the beating up. So you cannot overcome procrastination with the same consciousness that created procrastination. Have you ever heard that you cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that was created the problem? This is important to understand. That's why we need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. That takes us to the next level of consciousness. We're not in the same consciousness which we created the procrastination. Now we're in a different consciousness, but we need to connect with that consciousness. Most people, again, see procrastination as a problem. That is in the same frequency, same consciousness that created the problem. You cannot solve the problem from the same consciousness that the problem was created. So again, we need to elevate to a higher consciousness. Okay, I'm realizing that I'm self-sabotaging or I'm procrastinating as a protective mechanism not to be beaten up. When I was a kid, as physically by my dad. Now I'm protecting myself from Tommy from being beaten up by Tommy if I make a mistake. So from there, you're going to keep procrastination. So again, how do we start reprogramming? Becoming aware, loving and accepting the part of you that created the so-called problem, the symptom. Loving and accepting the part of you that started the procrastination in the first place, that started the self-sabotage as a protective mechanism. The more you go into a fight with the mind, the less you're going to be able to dissolve the same problems or symptoms that you're trying to change. So procrastination is not the problem. Self-sabotage is not the problem. They're the solution of something deeper. So I go into loving and accepting and thanking, hey, Tommy, thank you for creating this behavior of procrastination, of self-sabotage, or whatever that is to protect us. I now get it that you did it to protect yourself from Dad. And now you're still doing it. And listen, we keep going with the reprogramming. Now you're still doing it because you're protecting yourself from my beating. I'm sorry I've done that to you. Dad didn't know another way how to deal with us, so he would beat us up whenever we made a mistake, because maybe that was done to him. Maybe I know it, or maybe I don't, but I'm pretty sure that however you were treated normally is a byproduct of how your parents were treated. So, Dad treated you like that because he didn't know another way. I've been treating you like this because I didn't know another way. I am now learning how to love and accept you, Tommy, even when you fall into procrastination, even when you fall into self-sabotage. Because I'm realizing that when you do that, is because there's parts of me beating you up. So I'm learning how to be more loving, compassionate, understanding, supportive of you. As we have that in our conversation, imagining talking to that little kid that was beaten up by Dad, the mind starts creating a new memory where there was somebody talking to that part of me and processing in a different way, helping that part of me change the perception, reprogramming, of what happened. Because little Tommy, or this guy I was working with, felt not good enough because when he made a mistake, his dad had beaten him up. So he had learned that he was not good enough because of how they treated him. So now we can go into the full reprogramming. hey, Tommy, I get it that you thought, listen to my words, Tommy, or this person's name, right? I get it that you thought that you are not good enough because how your dad treated you. But the truth is, your dad treated you the way he did because he didn't know how to deal with his own frustrations, his own anger, his own emotions. It had nothing to do with you, it had to do with him. That is inviting the mind to change the perception of, oh, so there's nothing wrong with me. There was something wrong with the way dad treated me. There was nothing wrong with me. As I'm able to create a compelling argument, as if I were talking to a real kid, I invite the mind to change the perspective. That's when the reprogramming starts happening because the mind starts accepting a new reality, a new perception. But it might take time and work. It might not be just one time that I talk to that part of me. I might need to do it more and more depending on how I was treated as a kid and how I have treated myself my entire life. I was beating myself most of my life. So it took me a while to be able to start reprogramming those behaviors: procrastination, self sabotage, abandonment, loneliness, putting everybody else in front of me, because that's what I had learned my entire life. But I was able to start taking care of me, and first me, to then be able to take care of others. But I started with me. So the idea is to identify the true programs that are running behind your behaviors and then be able to create a compelling argument through this way of that I've talked just now. And there is very powerful, this specific way that I just used to share with you guys to help you understand how the mind opens up with the right, narratives, with the right language, because there's a language that opens the mind and there's a language that closes the mind. I'm teaching you here, guys, the language that opens the mind. So let me know if you heard this before, if you ever tried this before, if it worked or not. Let me know in the chat. I would really love to hear your comments here in the chat. If you're liking what I'm offering here, subscribe to my channel. I do this very often to share insight and tools to help more people start being able to make changes in their life. So let me know what you think in the comments. Follow me if you want to know more. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great week.